Okay.
Yeah, it says recording now. Okay. So should I go ahead and start?
Yes.
Okay.
So thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you to Amy for volunteering your time and expertise. We really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
I'm mute myself.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Lee. Welcome. I'm so happy to be here. A quick introduction about me. My name is Amy Ventura, and I have a web design and branding firm named Daring Luna. I've been a graphic designer for more than 15 years, and I've worked for a lot of big corporations as clients, like Restoration Hardware, Williams-Sonoma, Sunset Publishing, Hillsberg Diamonds. And a few years ago, I shifted my focus to work with smaller businesses because I really like the passion and commitment from small business owners and the depth of knowledge. So I think it's a cool audience of clients to be able to work with. So again, thanks for letting me do this. Thanks to Lee. A few little housekeeping points. If we could hold questions till the end, I will definitely stick around to answer questions. And then if you guys haven't done so, there's a button on the bottom left. That would be helpful just in case there's sound in the background. And then there are a few points in the presentation where I'm going to ask for responses, and you can do that by putting them in the chat. And if you haven't figured out where the chat is, if you roll your screen, you probably already know from Zoom, but there's a little button that says chat on the bottom or on the top, depending on your screen view. So that's where you can answer things. Okay, so, all right, let me screen share my screen so you can see the presentation. Okay, so can everyone see a big kind of coral colored screen that says the basics of branding?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so welcome to the basics of branding. Okay, so this is a big topic and we only have a short amount of time, so we can only really do an overview of branding. So let me show you what I'll go over today. And I'll have some resources for you at the end. And again, I'll have time for questions. So the basics of branding. Today, we're going to cover what is branding, know yourself, know your customer. How does this all come together to create branding in real life? I'll take questions and we'll have a wrap up and a free resource. And just in case you guys are scribbling to take notes, I have something at the end that's a checklist that you guys can get, which will walk you through everything I talk about today. Okay, so what is branding? And why does it matter for a small business or solopreneur? So branding is an explanation of what your company is visually, verbally, and tonally. And most important, branding is a promise to your client. So the promise that you're making is, this is who we are, this is how we'll act, and this is how we'll treat you. So, for example, let's say you're dealing with a bank. It's a big institution that manages your money and conducts safe financial transactions. How we act is with integrity, ethics, and scrupulous care of the resources you've entrusted to us, hopefully. And how we'll treat you is professionally, courteously, and probably a little formally. So that's the bank's promise to you. And they're going to convey this promise visually, verbally, and tonally in their brand identity. Okay, so what are the components of a brand identity? These are some of the basic things. A mission statement or tagline, a logo, fonts, colors, graphics, words, and phrases. And as an example, here's a page from my own brand guidelines for Daring Luna, my web design and branding business. And you can see here that I've specified which colors I use in my branding. I've specified my logo and my alternative logo, different versions of my logo, fonts I use, and kind of a photography style that I use. So this is one part of my brand, my branding guidelines. All right, moving on. So how can I use my brand identity? You'll use it everywhere. So once you have a brand identity, that's what you're showing the public. So wherever you are representing your business, that's where you should use your brand identity. The things we talked about in the last slide, the font, the logo, the colors, the tone. So places you can use it are your website, your business card, stationery, postcard, email campaigns, newsletters, video, podcast, social media. So everywhere, even more than that. That's a small list. And you don't need all of these. You need the ones you need. So don't feel overwhelmed like you have to get all of this stuff, or don't let someone talk you into, you need this giant stack of 10,000 brochures or whatever. You just need the ones you need. So look at what you need to grow your business for the next 12 months. Do you need business cards for conferences? Do you need a website to reach clients? Start with the small things. Start simple and grow and invest in other things as you need them. Okay. So know yourself, know your client. This section is the foundation of all branding. You can't even begin to develop the look and feel of your brand without having a good handle on what your company is and who your potential clients are. So again, this is a huge topic. You could lock yourself in a hotel room all weekend to work on this, and you'd still probably need to do some more at the end. So today I'm going to break this down into some questions that you can start to ask yourselves about your companies and your clients. And don't stress out if you don't feel like you know all the answers. Like I said, it's a big chunk of information to figure out. So I'm going to ask you guys to scribble something down while we're working through these questions, and then plan to work on it again sometime soon in the future. Again, I have a resource at the end that will go over these points as well. Okay, so if everyone grabs a piece of paper or their keyboards, let me move on to the next slide. Okay. So the first and one of the most important things to know is, who are you? Like, who are you as a company? So you need to really, probably a lot of you have this figured out, but it's always good to ask yourself again, even if you've been in business a long time, your business could shift and change. So it's really good to examine these again and think about them. So who are you? So questions to ask yourself: what do you want to be known for? What promises are you making to your customers? Where do you see your company in 5 years? Who are your competitors? What sets you apart? So those are basic questions to start with. And again, I have these all listed in the guide that you can get at the end. So don't feel like you have to scribble all these down. But think about those after this webinar and try and work out some answers. But right now, I'd love for you guys to do this exercise. And I love doing this with clients. So how would you describe your business in 5 adjectives? I think this is great to get a little snapshot of kind of the look and feel of your business. So I put some example adjectives underneath just to get your brains going. And I would love if you guys could please, I'm going to pause for a minute or two. And if you guys could think, and if you can't think of 5, just think of 2 or 3 and write them in the chat. I'd really like to see those. So I'm going to wait a minute or two. Remember, as you're working through this, it really doesn't have to be perfect or final. it's just for us to kind of look at, and you can always revise. All right, so these are great. So from Lee, we have modern, trustworthy, bold. Ida, let's see, professional, witty, scholarly, innovative, and empowering. These are great. Kate, you don't have a business, but if you did for your art portfolio, it would be magic, inspiring, positive. I love how different everyone's are. Rachel, thought leader, pragmatic, problem solving, innovative. I don't have a name, but the next one, confidential, government compliant. I think it says complaint, but I'm wondering if it's meant to be compliant, professional. Oh, that's really interesting. Okay, scholarly, trustworthy, dependable, organized, innovative, thorough, professional, detail. Okay, these are so great. And it, like I said, it's really cool. Compliant. Yeah, I figured. Thank you. It's so cool to see you guys are all coming from really different places. Okay. An appraiser. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I almost want to just like have like a 1 hour conversation with each of you and just hear what you're doing. It's such an interesting field. Okay, so that's who are you? And again, this is just a tiny little basic beginning. So I would highly encourage you to keep going with those questions and really drill that down. So next, equally important, is who is your client? So questions to ask yourself about your client, or if you don't have clients yet, your ideal client. Who are they? Who are your clients? Are they an individual, business, an institution? I know as archivists, you guys might be working for individuals. I don't know if any of you are archiving like family photos, or if they're kind of, I know a lot of wealthy families hire people to archive their historical photos. Business, an institution like the government or big museums, universities. Who are they? What do they need? What are their pain points? Yeah. What are their beliefs? And where do they spend their time? So someone like if you're archiving for a family or an individual, then they're going to be in a different place than a museum or the government. So do they read professional journals? Or do they go to conferences? Are they on LinkedIn? Is it you're doing personal archiving for grandparents and they're on Facebook or Instagram? These are important things to figure out. So again, I'm going to pause for a couple minutes and ask you to write down who your clients are and what is it they need from your business. And please share in the chat. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect or detailed. So as an example, your response could be something like, my clients are families. They have jumbles of historic family photos and it's stressing them out because they're not organized. So I'll pause and let you guys write that down. Okay, I'm gonna look through these while you guys are still writing. So Rachel, libraries, museums, cultural heritage organizations, archives, CMS software. Oh, that's an interesting one. Short-term experts who lead them through a specialized project or process. And they don't have an archivist full-time and need one for program creation. Wow, that's really interesting. That's huge. Staff doesn't have experience or time. Okay, Michelle, educational programs, members of a profession. They need to remember their institutional history, professional history milestones. Oh, that's so neat. Okay. IDA, community organizations, churches, individuals interested in learning the craft or considering a deposit. Okay, Kate, risk takers, transcontinental, entrepreneurs, private collectors. Michelle, pain point is getting the younger people in the profession interested in their professional history. Oh yeah, I bet. Barbara, small nonprofits need to preserve records of enduring value. Lack of knowledge about what archiving entails, lack of money. Yes, I hear you. That's the problem for all small business owners. Everybody wants to be paid and have people pay for their business, but everybody, but we all want to get things as on the budget as we can. And from Lee, museums, businesses, pain point, juggling the needs of a broad array of stakeholders. Okay, these are all really good. And again, they're all really different. Okay, so next, in this whole process of knowing yourself and knowing your client, it's really important to have a mission statement. So, and by mission statement, there's a lot of ways you can do this. You can Google and find out lots of different formulas. One formula I really like is my business does this action to help this ideal customer do or get this desired result. So it's really vital to know this. You have to be able to drill down to exactly what you're doing. And you don't necessarily need to say this to anyone like an elevator pitch, but you need to know it in your mind. So you're very clear on what it is you're doing and offering. So I'm going to pause again, and ask you guys, and again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just create a quick statement of what your business does, to help whom, get what results, and then throw them in the chat. And I'll pause for 2 minutes and let you guys do that. Okay, so I help organizations ensure that they're worked on that. That's great. Or if not, wow, good for you, Barbara. We provide mandated USPAP compliant appraisal reports. To share from Michelle, to share the history of the development of the PA profession and illustrate how PAs continue to make a difference in our society. Okay, that's cool. Rachel, help launch or revive collection programs so that their collections can be preserved and shared. And from Ida, consultation, instruction, and support for persons concerned about their institutional memory and documentary heritage. Kate, help others develop a sense of connectedness, developing partnerships with others in their fields. Ideal customer is a good communicator and open to learning new things and reaching out, network of artists. All right. So I would encourage you all to work on this and think about this until you can have a concise statement so that you just kind of know what you're offering. And again, it doesn't have to be an elevator pitch. You don't have to put it in the public, but it's really helpful to like have that narrowed down. Okay, so part 3, how does this all come together to create branding in real life? Okay, so how do I translate all my answers that I just created into my branding? So go back to who you are. All those questions we just answered and the questions I'm encouraging you to answer in the future, the look and feel of your branding must match what your business is and how you described it. So go back to these 5 adjectives. Everything you pick out, the colors, the fonts, a logo, photos, graphics, even in your copy, the words tonally, verbally, that must match who you are, your business, and how you described it. And equally important, your client. So go back to everything you wrote about your client and we'll continue to fill out. So the look and feel of your branding must match who they are, their wants, their needs, their values, their tastes. Again, colors, fonts, logo, photos, graphics, the tone of your copy, that must match your client, who they are and their wants. For example, if we go back to our bank, they're going to pick solid, strong colors, very no frills fonts, probably fonts that are very classic. On the opposite spectrum, a wedding planner is going to do the opposite of the bank. They're going to pick soft colors, fonts that aren't hard, don't have a lot of hard edges. They might even seem wispy or handwriting fonts. So everything that you're going to pick for your brand, the aesthetics, the tone, that's all going to be based on who you are and who your client is, who you are as a business. So I want to do this exercise of these corporate logos. These are all pretty well-known logos, and they've had a lot of thought put into the choices they made. So I want you guys each to pick one of these logos, and in the chat, tell us which logo you're picking, and then write 2 or 3 adjectives that come to mind from looking at these logos. Like, what do you think these brands are based on their logos? Everybody loves the dumpling house. Okay, yeah, these are all great. You guys are totally right on all these things. Movement for H&M. Okay, so let me go to the next slide. Sharp and efficiency. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay, so here's what I thought. Here are the words. I kind of did this exercise myself when I was putting this together, this presentation. So let me walk through what I thought and how these logos relate to these adjectives. And I think you guys are all on point too. So ing, it's formal. It's a very formal looking font. It almost looks like something you'd see in contracts. It's all caps. It's in a conservative blue color. Although this orange is kind of interesting. I actually did some research into ing after I put this in the presentation. Apparently this orange is a historic color from generations ago of banks that their current business has inherited. So, but the lion is solid, it's imposing, it's sturdy. So, you know, they're conveying everything you guys said: formal, stable, trustworthy. H&M is bright red. The font almost looks like handwriting. It's slanted a bit, like it's in motion. It's very energetic. And H&M, probably everyone on this call knows H&M is a chain of fast fashion. So they're fun, they're energetic, they're fast, they're mostly aiming at youth. And their logo kind of reflects that in these choices. MTV, when MTV first came out, for those of us who remember, it was very bold. It was very in your face, like this giant M. The TV is scrawled in what was then an edgy handwritten font. So it was meant to be edgy, bold, in your face, rock and roll. And then Dumpling House, a lot of us love that. So Dumpling House is the opposite of MTV. It's cute. It's got this cute little adorable graphic. It's got soft colors. it's got this cute little handwriting font that it just looks adorable. Like you want to go in Dumpling House and eat all the little tiny cute things. So it's cute, it's casual, it's fun. And then Nike, we all know Nike. It's got this great swoosh that goes off into the air. It shows action, it's fast, speedy, motion, energy. So, all right, good idea. So as you're going through the world, pay attention a little bit to companies, big and small, what they're putting in the world, their branding, and think about what it's saying about them and think about whether it works. Sometimes branding doesn't actually really match. Like we've all seen, you know, again, going back to a wedding planner, we've all seen the wedding planner who has like very dark, somber colors and the fonts look very stern and serious. So you can start to evaluate what the branding, the looks, the colors, the fonts, logos, the visual message in the world, like, does that work for what they're putting out? And then the choices you make for your own branding will, you should think about these same things. Okay, so to sum it all up, I'll close off a little bit and then leave a lot of time for questions. Your brand is the face of your company that you put into the world. So it is important. And if you remember nothing else from this webinar, what I really want you to remember is you really need to define who you are and who your client is. Because you can't really build your brand without these very basic points. So I've put together a checklist to go with this webinar that I aimed at you guys. If you'd like to get it, it's up on my website, which is daringluna, DARINGLUNA, daringluna.com/branding-guide. And so the checklist goes through everything we went through in this presentation. So if you want to ask yourself those questions, I've got a few extra things in there that I didn't fit into this presentation about your marketplace, figuring out your competitor. And then when you go, you can sign up for this checklist. And I'm also in the process of developing some DIY branding videos. I know there are a lot of business people out there who do not currently have the budget to hire a designer. So I'm starting to put together videos on how you can go into these questions and then how you can translate them visually to build a successful brand. So if you want to sign up for this branding guide, I'll let you guys know when those videos are available. Okay, so next I will open it up to questions. Let me go back to there in case you guys want to write that down. I have some questions that people on the sign up asked, and I checked it again last night or this morning. So let me answer those first, and then I'm happy to stay on and answer questions you guys have. Okay, so Lee, how did you find this niche? Thanks, Lee. Again, as I mentioned before, I used to, my clients were really big corporations, but I really like working with small businesses. I like feeling like I'm actually making a difference to someone and helping them with their business. And I actually really like getting to know my clients. So that part's really fun. Hey, Tammy. Best way to brand a service and profession most people don't even know exists. Yeah, I love this question. And I think it's so interesting. I've gotten to know more about your profession from knowing Lee. So I can see where that would be an issue. It is something probably most people don't know about. So what I would say is drill down to who your customer is. Really figure out who it is your business is going to serve. And then drill down to where they are. Like, are they at conferences? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Facebook, Instagram, academic journals? If you know who they are and where to find them, you'll be able to craft your branding and use it in advertisements, social media, wherever they are. Okay. Ida Jones. Digital presence, how to create, how to maintain. Okay, that's a huge topic. Yeah, I can't sum it up in a quick answer, but I can give you some basics. And my first basic would be, if you want a digital presence, you need a website. You absolutely have to have a website. It can be, hey, whoever's on, can you guys mute, please, if you don't mind? Thank you. I'm getting a lot of feedback noise. Okay, thank you. So have a website. Even if it's a simple one, a one-page website, you have to have a website. So a lot of people I've noticed don't have websites and rely on something like Facebook or LinkedIn. They do all their marketing on social media, and I think that's great. We live in this age where that all exists. We should take advantage of it. But you really want to bring people back to your website for many reasons. It's kind of your online home. You have control over it. You can do things from your website you can't necessarily do from social media, which may or may not pertain to your businesses, but sell things, have certain offers. With social media, which is great, you can't control it. So these places change the rules all the time. We all see how Facebook changes the rules, Instagram changes the rules. I know people with businesses who have these huge loyal followings on Facebook, and they've done advertising and or they haven't done advertising, let's say, and they build up this following, and suddenly Facebook changes the algorithm. So they're not getting shown anymore unless they're paying for advertising, that kind of thing. So social media is important, but make sure there's always somewhere you're directing them to, your homepage, even if it's simple. And then on your website, and this is so important, make sure you have a clear way for people to contact you for your services. I cannot tell you how many websites I go to, and I cannot figure out, like, how do I contact this person? I want to buy this thing from them, or I want their service, and there's no way. It's so small, but so important. So digital presence, again, figure out where your clients are. Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Facebook? And then create content where your clients are. So as an example, you could create an article, 10 most important things to remember when digitally restoring a photo for an archive. I know you guys might not actually digitally restore photos, but just let's say that. You could post it if your clients are mostly on LinkedIn. Post it there, lead it back to your website. And then on your website, make sure your contact info is clear so they can hire you. So that's just a little tiny window into digital presence, how to create. There's so much more, but at the very least, website, go to your clients, wherever they are. Okay. Rachel Woody, recommendations for social media strategy to fit with your brand. Okay, well, again, huge topic. People spend their entire careers just doing that, so I can offer you some very broad stroke suggestions. So, as I've been saying, Ida, thanks. I'll address that question at the end. Let's see. So yeah, as I've been saying, okay, figure out where your customers are, and then figure out where you can be of service to them. So don't post just to post on social media. Nobody wants to see that. None of us want to do it. None of us have time to do it. So post to be helpful. Ask around and figure out what your clients need. What are their pain points? And if you have answers that can help, create content around them. Eventually, so yeah, create like good content that helps them. Like, are your clients, let's see, I have no idea. You hear over and over again, people saying, I have no idea how to create a filing system for these photos. And, sorry, I'm not in your field, so I'm just kind of making that up. That could be a great thing for you to address in content. Create an article around that. And eventually, when you have a sense of these things that your potential clients are asking over and over and over again, you can help them by answering those. And you can build what's called a content calendar. So for instance, a content calendar, you would say, okay, I'm going to write 2 blog posts a month on the 15th and the 30th about problems my clients always seem to encounter. And I'm going to write these articles on how to solve them. And then I'm going to post those on LinkedIn. And then on LinkedIn, I'm going to lead people back to my website. And also on social media, so that's one part, being helpful, being of service. Engage. So engage with other people in your field. Engage where your customers are. So one thing I've noticed is people kind of preaching to the choir on social media. So for instance, I'm in some groups that are other designers, which is great. It's helpful. It's helpful to get feedback and advice, but they're not my clients. So I'm also in some groups that are women professionals, women who own businesses. And when I'm in those groups, I try and be helpful. Like lots of people have questions about branding, about design, and I try and answer those. I go pretty far in answering those. Sometimes I will look at someone's website and give them lots of feedback. And I've gotten clients that way. I don't assume I'm going to get a client that way, but I have gotten clients that way. So engage with other people, engage with people in your profession, find where your potential clients are, engage with them, and be helpful, be of service to them. Okay, and Ida, let's see. Websites were out and Instagram is all the rage. Yeah, I mean, Instagram is popular. It depends who your audience is. So, you know, the demographics of Instagram are different than the demographics of LinkedIn. I would have to look at what your business is again to have a sense of that would work for you. Social media is important. It's very helpful to grow a business. I firmly think you always want to bring people back to your website. And again, it's for reasons that you cannot control these giant social media companies. So, and also from your website, you can do lots of things that you can't necessarily just do on one social media channel. So yeah, Instagram is all the rage for a certain demographic. Okay, let's see. Let's move on to another question. And again, I'll take more questions after I've answered. So Paula, the best sources for free guidance and information. And I second what Tammy asked. Okay. I have some resources that I would love you guys to have. First is the checklist that goes along with this branding webinar. And it goes through everything we just went through. My website is daringluna, DARINGLUNA.com. I have a giant article on my blog, which is what you need to consider when building a website. So if you're, whatever platform you're using, there are certain things you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to pick colors. You're gonna have to pick a typeface. You're gonna have to have photos or graphics. So I have a very large comprehensive blog article on how to do those things. So that's a free resource. You're welcome to it. Just go to my blog and you'll see it. Other things you guys might want to know about are Canva. Probably a lot of you have used Canva, but if you haven't, it's canva.com. And it's like a graphics program. It's a web design or a design program for people who aren't designers. So you can pop in your colors or upload a photo, and it's kind of got pre-made designs on a lot of different things, presentations, logos, that kind of thing. Another resource is Unsplash, UNSPLASH.com, and that is a really fantastic source for free stock photos that are really high quality. And I know you guys as archivists probably have tons of access to beautiful, amazing photos, but sometimes you need a photo that's for an advertisement or for a social media link. Unsplash is great for stuff like that. Another great resource is Typewolf, TYPEWOLF.com. And this is a font website. It's a guy who is a designer who loves fonts and typefaces, and he has gone through and done so much to show which typefaces go with which other typefaces. He kind of evaluates them. So it's a really great website to have. Another one is Color Hexa, COLORHEXA. So Color Hexa is a color website, and you can find a color, put it in, and get you can get other colors that go with it. It kind of shows you complementary colors or different ranges of the color. I use it all the time. It's really helpful. And then the last free resource that I can think of offhand is 99 Designs. 99 Designs is a giant website of design articles, design advice. It's good. I just look at it all the time. And it's good for the layperson too, I think. Okay, so those are the freebies I can think of offhand. Jennifer, tips for branding a service or department inside a larger established brand. I think I need more clarification on that question. Is Jennifer on this chat? If you are, Jennifer, I'd be happy to answer this if you can. Let me look and see. I don't see you on the chat. Okay. Well, Jennifer, if you are on the chat or if you're listening to this afterward and you want to email me, I would need to ask you some questions about that. My email is Amy, A-M-Y, @daringluna.com. So feel free to email, and if I can answer that, I will. And then Beth, how to convince leadership to professionalize an institution's history and not rely on volunteers. Beth, are you on this chat? Okay, I don't see Beth on this chat. I'm not quite sure what that means in the context of design and branding. I would need to ask you some questions. And again, if you want to email me, amy@daringluna.com, I'd be happy to try and answer that for you. Okay, so that's all the pre-written this morning. So I'm happy to open this up and have people write questions in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, you can ask. Someone asked, do you charge by the hour or project? I charge by the project. Okay, does anyone else have any questions? When you were launching your business, how did you conduct research? Mary, can you tell me research into what specifically? Client needs and pain points. Yeah, I still feel like I work on that. Like I pay a lot of attention, and sometimes I make assumptions like, oh, I think they need this, and I come to realize like, no, this is what they need. But I ask people, I talk to people. I know a lot of people who own their own businesses, so I am asked a lot for design advice, branding advice, and I kind of pay attention to what people are asking me, and things that seem really obvious to me, I realize are not obvious. And I'm sure you guys have that too. Things that would seem very obvious and basic in your profession, they're not. They're only obvious to you. So I pay attention to what people are asking me. I also joined a lot of women entrepreneur groups on Facebook, and I get those messages and I kind of look at what people are looking for, like what they're having trouble with. And I keep track of that. I've got a little list. I just keep track of people's questions, what they're asking about, what they're confused about. So that's a pretty basic one to start with, I'd say. Kate, what do you think is the single most important thing to help a personal business stand out? Single most important thing. Okay, I would say, I know I've said this a lot, I'm going to say it again. So I would say figure out where they are and then be of service to them. So one way I've grown my business is doing exactly that. I'm in another group online, a professional group of women that they're professional women who all have their own businesses. And they're exactly the people I would want as clients. They're women business owners. Most of them are not designers. And I hang out in that group a lot. And again, I'm of service to that group. So when they have questions about design, I jump on and answer. If someone needs help, needs me to look at their website, I'll look at their website. And sometimes I'll spend, half an hour looking at their website, making a little list of bullet points like, you should do this, you can do this, this would improve. So I really try and be of service, and I don't expect that any of them will turn into clients. But I've gotten a little reputation in that group as being really helpful. And I've a couple people have become clients. You're welcome, Mary. Any advice about website platforms to explore? Yeah, so yes, I have thoughts on that. I don't love Wix for many reasons. My husband also does SEO, and from an SEO standpoint, he doesn't love Wix either. But let me roll that back a little bit. There's no right or wrong answer. People get really stressed out about which platform. So let me tell you the pros and cons of a couple of them. I've designed on WordPress using a template called Divi, D-I-V-I, from Elegant Themes. I've used a few other templates, and I've also designed on Squarespace. So I used to design on WordPress, and I've switched recently for my clients to Squarespace. And I'll tell you why. Like, neither is a right or wrong answer. WordPress, so WordPress is, you can do anything on it. Anything you can think of, pretty much you can do, which is amazing. That's a pro. The con of WordPress is that you can do anything on it. So WordPress has endless number of plugins, which are little bits and pieces, software basically that third parties have created, and they're unregulated. So anything you can think to do, you can probably find a plugin to do it. That's really cool. But the problem is the plugins are unregulated. They're not always updated. They can break your website, and they can make your website insecure. So if you're someone who does not want to pay attention to your site, if you're someone who doesn't want to back it up all the time, if you're someone who doesn't want to make sure all the plugins are up to date, that's kind of a con. Squarespace, which I'm using now, the pros are the websites are beautiful. It's pretty easy to use. The con is it's limited. It's not limited in terms of, it does everything a basic business needs it to do, but it can't do every single crazy thing. It doesn't have plugins. It's a very controlled experience. So the great thing is they're the ones who are maintaining site security, and they're the ones who are doing all the back end stuff. You don't have to keep updating your Squarespace version or your theme. Like, they do that. You can just kind of build your website and forget about it. But it's a little bit more limited. Like, you can't have some crazy plugin that, connects your workout calendar to your, I don't know, something else, and that. Most people don't need that. For most businesses, you need the basics. You need a website. Maybe you need to collect emails. If you want to show videos, if you want to have a blog, Squarespace does all that. So I find it useful for my clients for that reason. Okay, so do you think it's a single most? Any advice about website? That is true. I haven't actually explored that very much, so you can't really comment on that platform. But okay, so that seems like, are there any more questions? That seems like all so far. I'll wait a minute if anybody's typing. Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Okay, well, if you guys do have any questions, think of anything afterwards, feel free to email me, amy@daringluna.com. And it was so great to be with you all, and I really appreciate the chance to get to speak with you. So thanks so much, and I'll stay on another minute or two in case anyone wants to stick around and ask anything, but feel free to, ask me. Oh, the plugin comments, Jim? Yeah, plugins are amazing, and they're also terrible. It's like the Wild West. They're uncontrolled. So they're cool. They can do cool things, but they can also break your website. So, you got to decide how much time you're willing to invest in maintenance.
Thank you so much, Amy, for joining us. We really appreciate your generosity in sharing your wisdom with us. And if there's anything we can do for you, you let me know.
That's so nice. Thanks so much. And you guys have really cool businesses. I'm so interested in the topic. And if any of you want to reach out, I'd love to hear more. I'm super curious. So thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.